I think that is unnecessary, even if you want to believe in evolution or an old Earth. I think it's unnecessary to run to something like the day-age theory, and I think it's exegetically unsubstantiationable. There's a lot of different opinions on the book of Genesis chapter 1. And are they 6 literal days? What's going on here? Okay. And I want you guys to have a good understanding of what's going on here. Okay. So actually, I'm going to bring up a different document. Just bear with me. I want to answer this question. 6 literal days, ? Okay. This is actually a question that I had early on in my walk. When I was just getting into Christianity, I wasn't sure about how to interpret the book of Genesis, especially in light of evolution. I wasn't understanding of that, okay? And so I took a stance early on that I believed that this was 6 literal days being talked about in the book of Genesis, and that was the focus on 6 literal days, and I chose to not have an evolutionary bent or stance, okay? But I want to walk through Genesis, and I want to point something out to you because I think this might help you, okay? So let's look at this. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty, darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning the first day. Now everybody who likes to interpret Genesis in a 6 literal days fashion loves to emphasize this refrain that is at the end of every verse. There was evening, there was morning the first day. And verse 8, there was evening, there was morning the second day, okay? And if you head down further, verse 13, there was evening, there was morning the third day, okay? And so here's the refrain. People like to say it was evening, it was morning, so that's an indicator that it was a literal day. The third day, that's an indicator that it's a literal day. Okay? On and on you go. It was evening, it was morning the fourth day. It was evening, it was morning the fifth day. And then at the end, God saw that it was good, etc. So this is the structure of the days in the book of Genesis. Now, there are a few theories about this that I don't believe. Okay? There's the day-age theory, that each day could have been thousands or even millions of years. I think that is unnecessary, even if you want to believe in evolution or an old Earth. I think it's unnecessary to run to something like the day-age theory, and I think it's exegetically unsubstantiationable, okay? But there are other ways to read and understand Genesis other than this basic 6 literal days framework, and I think this will be helpful for you. Now, narrative is important here. A lot of people like to say that it's poetry. They try to get out of 6 literal days by saying, oh, it's just poetry, and so that's what's going on here in Genesis 1. It's just poetry. No, this is written in a historical narrative format, okay? So it's coming across as historical narrative. That shouldn't frighten you off either, okay? This is describing the account of how God created the earth. The fact that it's historical narrative shouldn't frighten you off. I want to bring something to your attention that you probably have never seen before. Let's look at day 1. What is made on day 1? On day 1, light is made. God said, "Let there be light." There was light. God saw the light was good. He separated the light from the darkness. So day 1, we have light. Day 2, what is made on day 2? God separated the water from the waters. God made the vault and separated the water under the vault from the water above it. God called the vault sky. There was evening, there was morning the second day. So on day 2, he essentially separated sky from the waters. Day 3, what happened? Day 3, let the water under the sky be gathered into one place, let dry ground appear, and it was so. God called the dry ground land, and he gathered the waters, and he called those seas. God saw that it was good. Let the land produce vegetation. Okay, so he created vegetation as well, and according to their kinds, let trees bear fruit, etc. So here God created vegetation. What did God make on day 4? Let there be lights in the vault in the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark sacred times. So he creates the lights in the sky. We're just going to go sun, moon, stars. Day 5. What did God create on day 5? Let the waters teem with living creatures. Let birds fly in the earth across the vault of the sky. And then let in the waters teem with things that move about according to their kind. So you've got birds in the sky and you've got fish in the sea. Okay? I promise this will be relevant. Day 6. Finally, day 6, guys. What happens on day 6? God made the wild animals according to their kinds, the livestock according to their kinds, and all the creatures that move along the ground according to their kinds. So, land animals. This is what God made on each respective day. Day 1, he made light. Day 2, he separated the sky from the waters. Day 3, vegetation. Day 4, sun, moon, and stars. Day 5, birds and fish. Day 6, land animals. Okay? And then he saw everything that it was good. And of course, mankind he creates on day 6 as a capstone over his creation. And then he rests on the 7th day. Here's what you've never seen. Here is what you have never seen that I think will help you immensely. You don't have to say that this isn't historical narrative. It absolutely is. You don't have to say that this is poetry or something like that. And you also don't have to run to some sort of day-age theory. Look what the author is doing in Genesis. This is called Hebrew parallelism, and it's set up beautifully. Day 1, he creates the light. Day 4, he creates the sun, moon, and stars. I promise this will be relevant. Day 1, he creates the light. Day 4, he creates the sun, moon, and stars. Let's go now to day 2. Day 2, he creates the sky and the waters. Day 5, he creates the birds and the fish. And finally, day 3, he creates vegetation. And day 6, he creates land animals and mankind. The author is setting up for us a parallel. Days 1, 2, and 3 go together, and days 4, 5, and 6 go together. Day 1, God creates the light. Day 4, God creates the rulers of the light, sun, moon, and stars. Day 2, God creates the sky and the waters. Day 5, God creates the rulers of the sky and the waters, birds in the air, fish in the sea. Day 3, God creates the land, vegetation. Day 6, God creates the rulers of the land and the vegetation, land animals, and ultimately mankind. God is setting up Hebrew parallelism to make a point. This is how God created things. 1, 2, and 3, God created realms. 4, 5, and 6, God created rulers over these realms. So you've got this structure, okay? Now I want you to know, I believe in 6 literal days. I believe in 6 literal days, and I believe in a relatively young earth, okay? But what the author in Hebrews is doing is setting a beautiful picture up for us of how the creation works. Thank you, Jesse. This is called the framework theory, guys. This is called the framework theory, and I think it's clear as day once you see it. Now, this doesn't mean that it can't be 6 literal days, and it doesn't mean the earth isn't young. It could still be 6 literal days, and the earth could still be young. But look at it, the author's main point. The author's main point is to create on days 1, 2, and 3, the 3 realms, and his main point is to create on days 4, 5, and 6, the main rulers over those realms. Okay? That's his main purpose and point. And remember, the book of Genesis is a polemic against ancient Near Eastern theories or ideas of creation. Here's my point. I do not think Genesis 1 is first and foremost designed by its author to tell us exactly how everything was created. I don't think that's the first point of the book of Genesis. Rather, the book of Genesis in Genesis chapter 1 is trying to present that God has created the earth and the universe in a particular way. And it is the one true God who has created this. Remember, this is written in the context of ancient Near Eastern creation mythologies. This is a polemic against ancient Near Eastern creation mythologies. Have you heard of these weird mythologies where like some goddess of evil was fighting some god of good and they were battling and then they killed the god and then used that god to create everything? And you get all of these weird creation myths in tales and ideas. What the author is trying to do is say, no, God sovereignly created all things. God sovereignly created all things, and he did so by himself. He didn't have to use another god or work with another god in order for that to happen. And part of the beauty of how God created everything is with order and structure. First 3 days, he creates 3 realms. Next 3 days, he creates 3 rulers over those realms. And that is first and foremost the purpose and intention of the author of Genesis, who I believe was Moses. Okay? So, bottom line, I believe in 6 literal days. I also believe in a young earth, but I do not think it is required for anyone to believe in 6 literal days or a young earth in order to be a good Bible-believing Christian or anything like that. If you want to believe in an older earth, I've got no problem with that. I don't think the first purpose and intention of the author of the book of Hebrews, or excuse me, of the book of Genesis, is to try and tell us how God did it. I think his purpose is to paint the picture of God doing it over against all of these false ancient Near Eastern creation mythologies. And I feel like it's very helpful to people who are wrestling with this whole, 6 literal days versus day age and all that. The framework theory helps, and it still doesn't define one way or another which direction you ought to go. The one thing I would say is this: if you want to believe in evolution, it's still important to recognize that Adam and Eve, as biblically described, were how God caused mankind to be descended. You do need an Adam and Eve because Jesus comes in the archetype of the second Adam, okay? So that's an important piece, all right? If you want to believe that God used evolution to direct that, I don't believe in macroevolution on that level, but I know some Christians who do, and I can understand why they do, but I think having a literal Adam is very, very important because the Bible compares Christ to the first Adam as Christ being the second Adam. So that's a very, very important distinction. So then does that open up the possibility of there being dinosaurs and animals long before humans? I would say biblically, I think they coexisted probably with humans, but I think it certainly does open that possibility up. I don't think the Bible precludes that. The framework theory, I think, is very, very helpful. We can still discuss evolution and different things like that. I think evolution in many ways is a very dangerous philosophy. I think that's been proven, but I don't believe that it's the only dangerous philosophy or anything like that. There are things we can work on with that. But yes, I wanted to point that out. It does make it as a viable option. Millions of years in between, I just think the Bible doesn't care to explicitly tell us how much time is really there. That's not the point of the author in the book of Genesis. That's not what he's trying to do. Hey guys, Pastor Tanner here, and I don't know about you, but I feel like the like and subscribe buttons might be calling your name. In all seriousness, though, we would love if you head down to the description and catch us on the link over to Twitch or over to Discord. It's there that we can interact with people live, even when we're not putting out videos, and we would love for you to come join the conversation. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and take care. God bless, and bye now.